Internet of Things, machine learning, artificial intelligence. But all of them sit on the cloud. Without the cloud, none of them can function. Now, but for us in Nigeria, the key thing is we have localized data. So with machine learning, artificial intelligence, in order to utilize and leverage that in this environment, we have to have our own data lakes. We have to have our own large data. Because what you're interested in is what happens in Nigeria. You're not interested in the habits of somebody in North America or somebody in China. So the data that is collected in these two places will not work in Nigeria. What you have to have is Nigeria data. And from Nigeria's data, you can apply the machine learning, the artificial intelligence, or whatever is in there. So all the good stuff that the future has a foundation in the cloud. So that's the key thing for me, and it's the pivot for whatever we're going to do. And you see, what society is doing and what we've learned in society is to make life easier and make life more convenient, make things faster. That's what we want to do. That's what technology does for us. But all that technology needs the cloud. Without the cloud, we can't do anything. We can't move forward. So that's what we've got to understand, that we've got to get the foundation right and build up on that foundation, because we've got absolutely brilliant people. I know there are many people doing Internet of Things in Nigeria, really interesting things. I saw solutions that people were doing in terms of, even ventilators, being able to monitor patients, all sorts of things using IoT. There are other things you could do with artificial intelligence and machine learning. So with all that, you cannot do any of that if you don't have a cloud platform, or you don't have cloud platforms in there, and you don't have large repository of data.
Thank you. And what is also the way forward for businesses that have already invested very heavily on on-premises infrastructure now, but they're still looking to take advantage of the cloud? So what would be your recommendation for those people?
Well, there are several things that can be done. The first thing is you can do a hybrid. A hybrid is you're connecting your on-premise into the cloud so that you're getting the best of the cloud from day one. And also what it means is that, because you've got, even where you've got hardware, let's say you're a company, you bought hardware a month ago, you've got the end of life. That hardware is only going to last you 5 years. Beyond that, if you find that sometimes you might not have bought the right mix, or what you bought you used faster than before it gets to the end of life. If you have a hybrid situation where you're connected to the cloud, it means you can extend your infrastructure into the cloud and make use of the resources in the cloud. Also, nowadays we have different things. You've got test environments, UAT environments. You want to test out new applications. You don't have the facilities for that. Because you've got a hybrid and you've ring-fenced, extended into the cloud in there, you can do all that in the cloud right from your own infrastructure, and it will look as if you're using infrastructure that is sitting on-premise for you. So there's a lot you can do in terms of that. It's not either or. It's a complement in every way, and everything we have is complementing each other, and it's for you to pick and choose what you want to use, how you want to use it, and how it serves you best.
Okay. Let's talk remote work now. No thanks to COVID now. A lot of people are beginning to work from home. More businesses are beginning to tell their employees to work from home. But the problem is many of those companies don't set up staff, they don't prepare their employees for remote work. So I want to ask, as someone who is into the cloud business, what are those cloud platforms or those apps that businesses can leverage that can make working from home really very seamless for an employee?
Okay, I mean, one of the key things that businesses need is collaboration. Because imagine you're in the office, you've got a team of people around you, you guys are talking to each other, exchanging information, exchanging data to work. So the way you would use the cloud in this sort of type of scenario is to use collaboration tools. So you have tools and platforms that sit on the cloud that the data is shared, the data is in the central place, so that when someone does some work, updates it, somebody else can just carry on from there. So everything from applications you use to development. So with development, you've got things like version control, you've got stores, where you can lock away the data and things like that, which is a lot more secure and a lot more stable than having it on premise, because then you don't lose it. Because a lot of times you wouldn't hear when someone's lost their data, or maybe when data is stolen because it's physically being held by someone. But if you have a cloud-based infrastructure, you can lock away that data. You can only allow people segments of the data. You can have better collaboration, because as somebody who's sitting at home is updating the data and he finishes at 9 p.m., you don't have to sit in the office and wait for him. All you've got to do, you get a text message from him, he's done his bit, you log on, you carry on to do your bit, and so on and so forth. And we've got things like workflow, and workflows where you have the automation where when one person's finished, it will email the next person to say, this person's finished, it's your turn to do it, or it needs your approval, or this is the next stage. So even some of those things, you can automate them so that even the personnel involved don't have to be, so where you have to have a meeting and you're instructing everybody as to whose turn it will be and in the order that you want that task done. Because of technology today and having workflow capabilities, you can do that yourself, and it just notifies each member of the team what they need to do. And when you're dealing with 100 people or even 500 people, it's actually quite easy and huge time saving than trying to get 100 people or 500 people into a room to talk to them and update them before they get the work done.
Okay. I don't want to wrap up the show without touching on this. We have students listening to us right now. So I'd like us to briefly touch on those must-have skills that's preparing people for remote work now. So in your opinion, what do you think those essential skills are that one needs to have in order to be able to work remotely, to be able to work remotely, either as a regular user now or as an IT professional?
So the skills that are required, and what I would say is, first of all, it's the networking, because you're creating VPNs, you're connecting with your Wi-Fi and other devices. So you have to understand how that works, have people that set that up and make it easy for the users. The second thing that we need to have there is to have cyber security, because even though it's more secure, at least you have to understand what the security is and how it's secure. So that's a huge area, and I think that's a growth area in terms of technology. And the third thing is what I call DevOps. DevOps deals with the cloud-native application. So applications that run on-premise can be migrated to the cloud, but they're not as efficient, they're not as fast, and they don't take advantage of all the tools of the cloud because they're traditional and they're sort of legacy applications. But if you start working in DevOps and what you call microservices and things like that, then you're taking advantage of the best bits of the cloud. In layman's terms, what that means is that even when you have an application, e-commerce, websites running, you can take down parts of it and improve on them without having to take down the whole thing. The speed to market is much better because you're doing it in segments. And also a key factor is when you have growth in terms of scalability, in terms of more people using it, it scales much, much better, and it scales automatically rather than designing for scale, which is what used to be done. So I'm trying not to be too technical in it and try to sort of touch on what the differences are so people can appreciate where this technology is going and what the advantages are in relation to what they know now.
Just before we close out now, I've got colleagues in the studio with me. Fumi is here with me, and I know Fumi, you have a question for my guest today on the show?
Yeah, you said something about option that is, yes, it's not safe, but it's the best.
Yes.
But on the premises angle, which is quite safe, but not recommended by him. I don't know why. Why is that? Because some companies, especially government-owned organizations, banks, and those top secret agencies would like to have their secrets within the premises. Why should they go for cloud?
So that's
Hi, for me, that's a great question, and I'll answer it like this. Amazon has something called GovCloud, which is a cloud platform. So you have Pentagon, the CIA, the FBI, they all use Amazon. So I say to myself, and if the Secret Service, I mean, this is what I know. I don't know much about the secret services in Nigeria and what they use and how they work. But I'm saying if the secret services in America can trust the cloud platform, why can't the same thing here trust the cloud platform? So I can tell you they're on the cloud platform, and the benefits and the reasons for it, I can extrapolate. I'm not part of them, but I know that what Amazon has done, for example, is that let's use Microsoft. Microsoft Azure sits all over the world, and they have an infrastructure that the government does not have. So in order to get their data across the world, or to connect with people across the world, or to have secret conversations with their team and their members, just as I mentioned about the collaboration, they would do it easier and faster on Microsoft than they can do it on their own infrastructure. So that's the benefit of it, and it's far more secure because without having, again, going into great detail, you would have to build, to put it in a very simple term, you'd have to build your own road to be able to rival the infrastructure that they have. So rather than reinventing the wheel, as to say, you can latch on to existing roads and get data back and forth with anybody that you wouldn't be able to do, with your own resources.
Okay.
I hope that answers it or gives you an analogy in there.
Yeah, she gave the nod. All right, so we've also got a student here, but this is how much, unfortunately, that time is going to permit us on today's show. Thank you so much for coming, for joining us and sharing your knowledge on today's episode of the Tech Talk. And so here's where we're going to call it a wrap. So let's keep it a date again next week. So it's bye-bye from myself. There's Abdullah here and Fumi. Thank you very much.